Good evening. Welcome to the Canon Academy Homeschool. I am a homeschool grandmother. You may call me Venus or Grandma Venus. So today I want to do another video on scheduling or what your homeschool day might look like. Without knowing how many children you have or their ages, I'm just going to go over a few things in the way that I've done them in the past. So the first plan I have is one that I have left over from a teacher's manual for the Calvert Education Services from the Calvert curriculum. And this one is particularly scheduled for a kindergarten course. So what they suggest on a 5-day schedule is from 9 to 9:15. For 15 minutes you have an opening, which could be anything from Pledge of Allegiance, prayer, storytelling, just getting ready for the day, putting your supplies together, things like that. Then from 9:15 to 9:40, which is 25 minutes, there is a discussion. Now, this actual page does not say what that discussion is, and I know that in the past, in their teacher's manuals, there is a discussion session, and usually that's something to the effect of how will our day go, what subjects are we doing today, things like that. Just to get your child in the mood and let them know what to expect as the day plays on. So then from 9:40 to 10:40, which is an hour, they say mathematics. And from 10:40 to 11, for 20 minutes, they offer as a suggestion recess or physical activity. From 11 to 12, for an hour, language arts, which includes anything from reading comprehension, reading readiness, phonics, phonemic awareness, fluency, vocabulary, and writing. Then from 12 to 12:30, they suggest 30 minutes for lunch. And then you come back at 12:30 until 1:10, which is 40 minutes for language arts, to do whichever part of that you had not done in the first session. Then from 1:10 to 1:30, for 20 minutes, they suggest recess or physical activity. And then from 1:30 to 2:10, for 40 minutes, on day 1 and day 5, they suggest arts and crafts. Day 2 and day 4, science, and day 3, the music break. And from 2:10 to 3 o'clock, they suggest 50 minutes of games and activity. Now this works out to 4 hours of actual instruction or school work, 90 minutes of recess, physical activity, and play, and a 30-minute lunch. Well, I tend to think that's just a little much. It's okay if you're dealing with 20 or 30 children and you need that kind of time, but one-on-one or even just 2 or 3 children, you can get things done in less time. So what I suggest is to combine the opening and discussion as one thing and offer it for 15 minutes. Then for math, I break it down into 2 15-minute sessions. Then there would be a recess or physical activity in between those math sessions that would be about 20 minutes. And that might be something like blocks or reading a book, or they can even get out cars and train tracks or dolls or whatever for 20 minutes. Then I suggest that your first language arts session be phonics and reading, and I have 30 minutes. Now, if you're working with one child, 30 minutes is fine because you can add in work pages and things like that. If you're working with 2 children, you might want to break it down to 10 minutes of phonics and reading each, and then take the other 10 minutes and have them do their work pages. Even if they're doing a different level work page, it's quite okay. You just need to be there for them and give them the instructions and help them through the work pages. It's really easy to work with 2 or 3 children at a time. Now, that being said, you would break for lunch for 30 minutes, and then you would come back and do another 20 minutes of language arts, which might be vocabulary or writing, or both. And then break for another 20 minutes of recess physical activity. Now, as far as the arts and crafts, science, and the music classes through the week are concerned, I figure 30 minutes of each of those is quite enough. It gives you time, if you're working out of a science manual or textbook or even a workbook, to put something together, work with the children, make sure they understand it, and give them a little bit of knowledge before you do an experiment or a project and everything. And then the rest of the day is free time. Now, free time, sometimes children get bored and they need some direction, and you can direct them to like a matching game or something like that, or maybe an educational TV show. So keep that in mind. Now, according with the schedule that I came up with, that's 2 hours and 5 minutes of actual instruction, still 90 minutes of recess and physical activity or play, and 30-minute lunch. More than enough time for kindergarten, or preschool for that matter. Now, their first grade plan is still on a 5-day school schedule, and they say start out 9 to 10 for an hour of mathematics. From 10 to 11, an hour of reading. Then from 11 to 11:20, 20 minutes of recess or physical activity. From 11:20 to 12:10, 50 minutes of reading or possibly writing, like composition. Now, in this particular curriculum, they usually did not start the writing portion until like lesson 81, and then it continued through the 160th lesson. They also say from 12:10 to 12:40, a 30-minute lunch. From 12:40 to 1, 20 minutes of spelling, which is more than enough time. 1 to 1:20, 20 minutes of recess and physical activity. Then they say the following subjects are optional and are not graded, but they supplement and reinforce the daily lessons, so they are recommended. Now, I'm of a mind that if you do the work, you get graded on it. I don't care if it's check mark for participation, a letter grade, or a number grade. Say number 1 can be the best work they do, number 4 can be the worst work they do, meaning that they need extra help to master that. Or you can flip it, as Calvert did, and 4 can be the best, and 1 can be where they're just beginning to learn this particular lesson. So they say from 1:20 to 2:10 for 50 minutes. On day 1, 3, and 5 do science, and on day 2 and 4 do social studies. And then from 2:10 to 3, a 50-minute session of general information, games, activities, stories, and verses. That comes out to 4 hours of instruction, 90 minutes of recess physical activity, play, and stories, and 30 minutes of lunch on their plan. Now, once again, I decided to modify it and shorten it for my needs. So I did 30 minutes of math, 30 minutes of reading, 20 minutes of recess or a break of some sort, 30 minutes of reading and writing, 30-minute lunch, 20-minute spelling, 20-minute recess and or physical activity, and then 30 minutes of science or social studies, and then the rest of the day was free time until children that did not live here were picked up, and the one that did live here still was allowed to do what she wanted during that time. This comes up to 2 hours and 20 minutes of instruction, 90 minutes of recess physical activity and play and stories, and 30-minute lunch, which is more than enough for this age group. Now, some people say, what would you do for older children? So I did dig up a 5th grade and a 10th grade schedule that I had worked out. Now, I don't have times here, but I can tell you that at the time my daughter was in 5th grade, she was doing Awana outside of our homeschool. And so she had different verses and lessons she had to do, and I allowed 15 to 30 minutes a day for that. Then, as far as math was concerned, I allowed 60 to 90 minutes, and that was Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. And for English, which is language arts, reading, composition, things like that, I allowed 60 to 90 minutes, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Then science and labs was 60 to 90 minutes, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And history was 60 to 90 minutes on Thursdays and Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then the second semester, I would flip those, and history would be 3 days, science would be 2. Then I allowed 60 minutes for health or PE, and we did a little of each on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And that was mainly for the health credits, because she was also in dance and was doing 3 or 4 dance classes a week, which I counted as gym or phys ed. In 10th grade, she decided to do Bible study on her own for 15 to 30 minutes a day. Geometry was Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays for at least 40 to 50 minutes, if not 90. English, again, was about 45 to 90 minutes, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. She did biology with labs, Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. World history on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We added home ec, which was Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, or we might switch from Wednesday to Friday, depending on our day. So she averaged 4 classes a day, each day of the week. And that was a huge help for her. She was able to use the extra time to do any special things she wanted to do, dance classes, knitting. She liked to read for fun, things like that. So all in all, and you can do this with several different children, and she averaged 3.5 to 5 hours a day, basically 5th grade through high school. So all you have to do is just have your kids all in one room at least if they need help, and go from child to child as help is needed. Give directions to the older children. I would say by 4th grade and up, they should be able to read directions and also take the directions from you and work independently with you just checking the work when they're done. They should be able to help with the smaller children who might need help as far as reading or math, things like that. There are times that you can just read to all of them together out of a textbook or whatever and have a discussion at each one's level. So I just want you to know that you don't have to panic if you have more than one child and they're in more than one grade level. It can be done. I've had a 6th grader, a 4th grader, a 3rd grader, a preschooler, and one in senior year of high school, along with one doing college, all at the same time in the same room. A couple of them, one end or the other of the couch, one in a chair, and the smaller ones on the floor doing their work and stuff on a rug. They were perfectly happy. They like to lay down and do their work. Some kids in loungewear, some kids in their play clothes. And the younger kids tend to listen to things you do out loud, whether it's a lecture or instructions, whether it's something on a chalkboard or whatever, and they pick that up as you go and stuff. I actually had a 3rd grader who was yelling out answers to the 6th grader on math a couple of times when I was showing the problems on the board. The 6th grader wasn't getting it, and the 3rd grader figured it out. And this was just after a couple of days of doing the same type of problem over and over and over. So it's all good in the long run. It works out, and you just have to figure out what works for your family as far as scheduling and how to do it. And if you want to do it at the kitchen table, that's fine. You can walk around the kitchen table and check to make sure the work is getting done properly. You can do your dishes, you can cook, you can go change a load of clothes, come back and see how it's going. They can tell you if they need help, and you can stop what you're doing and check the work, and then have them go back and do it again if necessary. So it's nothing to panic about. It's just finding your own groove for you and your family. I hope that you find this video helpful. I've done another one on scheduling and how a day might look earlier during the COVID crisis, Now the numbers are going back up. I'm hearing that people are going to be going back to virtual school and things. So I just want to put this out there again to answer those questions. So thank you, and if you like this, then please hit like below and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.